Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Storytellers. I'm your host, Graham Nolan, and today we're going to be talking with Mr. Anthony Gonzales-Clark, very talented artist who I recently discovered his work because he's working with my pal Chuck Dixon on a project called My Sister Suprema. And when I saw his work, I was like, wow, this guy is really good. He's got this fantastic animated style. And when I say animated, I don't mean like Bruce Timm. I just mean like he's able to make his characters emote physically and with their faces and stuff. He pushes the drawings, which, as you guys know, that's something I'd love to see. So let's welcome Anthony in. Hello, Anthony.
Hi.
Welcome to
Hi,
the
Graham.
Storytellers. Nice to see you.
Oh, thank you for this opportunity. This is that's really great. I've been learning a lot from you, and yeah, it's like, where were you? Like, what is it, like 8 years ago? It was like when this like I was like trying to find like all this like historical comic book knowledge that I needed.
Oh,
Yeah, this was me just so long ago, just trying to find whatever I could from anyone, I was just trying to look through my comics, look up a name, Google, try to see if they had a blog, try to see if they had a YouTube channel, and it just didn't happen until like everything happened like 2 years ago. But it was good. It was good timing, and still learning a lot and enjoying it. So I really love this series. And I'm just
well,
glad to
better
be part
late
of
than
it.
never.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been working in the business? And let's start right there.
Working in the business, I mean, see, I just been just doing independent, like just anybody that can just pay me to do their comic book. So I
Mhm.
never, I had an aversion of kind of going to the big, just sending my work off or anything like that.
Mhm.
Eventually I would start sending my pages, but then I look back, I mean, I look back now and I'm like, they just were not ready and it was terrible. So, um,
Hey, I look back on my stuff from last year and I say the same thing.
yeah, I started off. I mean, I started off my career with this, with everything was around 2017 is where I kind of just actually started getting paid. And before that, it was about 2 years before that, I was just drawing whatever I could, kind of getting it together, collaborating with a friend or
Mhm.
someone I met at work, or someone who had a similar interest or something like that. So yeah, so that's
Okay.
like the career in it, in comics, but in illustration, I've always kind of found work. I was always kind of I could always draw. I was always able to draw, and so early on, I would just like my dad said, "Oh, the studio needs a logo for this, or are you interested in this, or a band needs a flyer or a shirt or something like that." So
Mhm.
I was doing that in high school, and yeah, so.
Did you go to college for art or anything like that, or are you all self-taught? Self-taught.
I am pretty much self-taught. Everything that I've done, I'm self-taught. I tried to go. I was going to community college probably for just to do graphic design, and
Mhm.
that just fell off. I just stopped doing that. I think I went to like uh, went for a year, and it just didn't. I just was like, no, I can't do this anymore. I gotta. I was too interested. I was too distracted. I was like, this is sort of taking me away from something else like that I wanted to pursue. You know.
Okay. Um, so then, since you're self-taught, I'm curious as to where your influences came from.
Oh man, it is pretty much. It's been a lot of different places. It's been so many different things because when I was younger, I mean, I would collect comic books and I would just buy them to look at the pictures. It was just I had no idea who the artist was. I didn't know till later on. I didn't try to look it up because eventually I stopped collecting them and then I pursued something else. Art never stopped, and then I eventually got back into comics. But it was mostly my influences were mostly in film. So I pursued once I understood what I used to watch a lot of films when I was younger, like probably too young. Like I was like, where's my mom? Like, it's like no. So I would watch a lot of films, but I didn't understand really what was going on until I got a lot older. Till I was like around middle school, like ninth grade, like that kind of thing. And I got really, really into film, and I got just started following directors, and writers, and then I started following specific producers. And I just remember just falling in love with that. And so it was just visually appealing, and the movies that were like, the artsy kind of stuff, the uh, art house films, and then as I would just kind of keep watching all this stuff, and I was like wondering why certain things were just like looked good, but it was boring, and I couldn't watch this anymore. And things that I was like, oh, this is great art, this is just fantastic, the way the director does this, and then it was just a horrendous story, like again, like and so that's when I started getting more into storytelling. So it was through movies, how to, every shot carries along the story, like which films do that, who does that the best, who does that, who immerses you into the film, rather than, look at me, look at my style of directing, look at the way I'm doing this. No, everything has a point, everything, it's like, so yeah, so I was really into.
That's very interesting, because one of my tenets of storytelling is immersion. So I'm curious, what directors did you find through your studies that you felt did immerse you through their techniques, through their style, without being flamboyant in their style, perhaps, but they immersed you in that story? Who were some
So
of those?
okay, so it'll probably just like jump around a little bit, I guess, with era or something like that. But one of the things one of the people I was really into was John Ford. John Ford went through a bunch of his stuff, just loved it, just enjoyed it. Maybe fall in love with the Western. I think it was The Searchers. That's the movie I keep showing. Like it's like maybe it's hit or miss with some other Westerns or something like that. Like, but I mean, The Searchers for like a big, like just great film all around. Enjoying. I've shown my wife loves it. I've shown my niece, who was like 7 at the time. She just sat there, watched the whole thing. So it's just things like that. Like I just love that movie. And so like John Ford was a big influence. Billy Wilder was another one.
Mhm.
The writing, and then the directing and the characters, and and I think Stalag 17 is one of my favorite films. Um, and that was another one that was just pretty. That was Billy Wilder. He was great. Frank Capra. He was another one. So that's kind of like the older kind of like era there. And you get right up to like, I don't know. I remember just watching like Signs from M. Night Shyamalan. Now it's whatever, give or take, like, whatever the plot or the plot holes or whatever. It's just the way he carried the film, the way every shot, the way he scared you, the way the timing, the sounds, I just was like, yes. And so I was kind of always kind of when I saw like a director would do it right, or that's I was trying to always watch out, be very to see the nuances, and even like in some of the humor of like a Christopher Guest film, like you watch, like This Was Spinal Tap, or um, Best in Show. It's just like little nuances that he would do, little subtleties in the joke and things like that. I remember After Hours from Martin Scorsese was another film where it was just like that was something I had never seen before. I'd never seen something like that before. And the way that carried the story along from beginning to end, how rapidly that went from, from a character who thought he wanted something, a certain life, and then he just got thrown through the ringer in one night, and basically ended up at the same place. But anyways, so those some of the films that just come to mind. There's just been so many. Like I was, oh yeah, and Korean cinema was another big thing. I got into that, and just by visuals, this was like visually appealing. And then if anybody wants to ever check out a good Korean film, it was like Memories of Murder. Fantastic score, great movement of the camera. Just again, another one that just carries you along in the story from beginning to end. It's just, yeah. So yeah, Korean cinema was a big influence too.
That's interesting. It's very cool to see you take a cinematic approach, but to your storytelling, but your actual interpretation, your drawing has a
Mhm.
very animated feel.
Mm.
So, is there any influence of, say, Chuck Jones in there, or uh,
Uh, it,
anybody like that?
see, that's I don't know. I wasn't like I was always into animation with like Disney and stuff like that. Like I don't know the names specifically, so it's always like I like the way this was. I like the way they do this. I like the way I didn't kind of develop that until like kind of later on, where like this cartoony feel, this cartoony, like the cartooning was a part of my art, and uh, even in the more realistic type, if you know, I like with the stuff I did with seasons, I would still try to make it more like animated, cartoony, but like not in style, but like in the feel and the movement. And
Hmm.
I don't know, I there again, it was just a lot of different things from a bunch of different places, and because I really did not get into the history or of different of a lot of different people for cartooning or anything like till I kind of listened to your storytelling, till I listened to Chuck in
Hmm.
his videos and everything, the Ask Chuck Dixon thing, just kind of
Hmm.
listening to every single thing, and then he'd bring up something. I go look at, and I feel like I'm back to square one. I felt like, oh yeah, so now I've arrived. I feel like I've arrived. I'm like somewhere now. I don't feel like a phony anymore. And then like I'm back to, right back to it. I don't know any of this stuff. I'm calling up my mom. Mom, you know, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you? Anyways, you know,
Well,
it's like,
you got to get used to that feeling because it never ends.
yes,
You-
you know, I don't know. I've learned so much in the last just the last two years. It's been the last 2 years since Chuck was on unauthorized TV. I didn't even know who he was. I didn't know who Chuck Dixon was. And then I go, you know, like after that, like after I was listening to him for a little bit, I went back. All my comic books are there's like tons of Chuck Dixon, you know, stuff like that, and and so I hadn't even known who he was, and then I'm listening to him, and here it was. Finally, I'm like, I can't wait till another video comes out. I need to know this. I need to be like, I need to go through this, and like just recently, like the last like you know like what is it, a couple of months, I've been getting finding the appeal and the or the trying to understand Jack Kirby, like going into that now.
Mhm. Oh,
It's
wow.
all because it was just because of you guys. It was just like, oh my god, like here's what I needed. I was like I was saying to you earlier, it was like, you know, when I first back in 2017, or it was even earlier than that. I'm so fired up to start doing comics, and I was like, just learning it as I was going along.
Mhm.
That's all I was doing. I did, yeah. So the cartooning stuff is like I'm more realizing that like the importance of that, the animated, the cartooning way of the, yeah, see, I don't even know what you call it. It's like I'm so not, you know, like what exactly I'm doing, you know, like what you're noticing, you know. Yeah.
Well, that's the fun of it, is discovering these people. We stand on the shoulders of giants, and
Hmm.
discovering these giants that popular culture and younger artists have never heard of, or really know who they're swiping.
Hmm.
Well, for every kid that's swiping Jim Lee, well, you got to look back at John Buscema, and you got to look back at Jack Kirby, and you got to look back at, and then go back to Hal Foster from there. Uh,
Yeah.
you know, that's the lineage. The same thing. There's the Gil Kane school. There's the Milton Caniff school.
Hmm.
There's all these various um, people that have influenced modern artists, and unfortunately, I think since like the '90s, most people are stagnant in their reference to the original sources of that artwork. Like they'll look at like image stuff or that, and they'll see all that surface detail,
Hmm.
but they're missing where the context came from, the solidity, that it
Mhm.
came from, and that's when it's fun to go back and discover these guys that I'm discovering these Spanish artists and stuff that they can draw like son of a bitch. I
Yeah.
can't believe the stuff that they can do. Okay, so maybe it's not superheroes, but man, some of these westerns are amazing. That they
Mhm.
do. These guys can really draw, and
Mhm.
and I love that.
Yeah, and I got a lot of that from. I mean, uh, just seeing. There was like moments where it went to. I was reading. Yeah, it was like Image Comics. It was some of the Vertigo, some of the stuff like that that I was liking. I went back to the old '90s stuff that I had that was in Marvel and DC and stuff that I was collecting and going back there. Um, some of the first stuff that I ever got back in like 91, 92 or something like that was like Spawn and even like I think the artist during the Amazing. I was trying to look up I should have looked up the artist, but the artist in the Amazing Spider-Man run in like '93 and around that. That was pretty. I just liked looking. I just like looking at that. And so then anyway, so then when I got back into comics and I actually started reading them, a friend of mine was introducing to me all this stuff, and it was a lot of Image stuff. It was a lot of stuff like that, and it was helpful. It was very helpful. And then I started reading like manga. I think I picked up like Death Note. Um, yeah, it was like Death Note right here, and like reading this,
Hold on,
and I
let
was
me
like,
put you
this
on.
looks like it's got that horror appeal, and it's something that I could yeah,
You
like
show that again. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
and so this is like the last volume, but so I'm like that. It has like this horror appeal, and that's something I liked a lot. And I was something I could look at. The art was really really good in it, and I read it, and it changed my whole perspective on storytelling. It changed my whole perspective that how you can have a beat on a page like where it was like Act One, Act Two, Act Three, and then just like you turn the page and just like whoa, like I've never seen that before. And then there was a lot of care in the story. There was a lot of suspense. Like you reading it, I had never watched Death Note. There's like an animated version of it. I never
Mhm.
watched it, read it, and I wanted someone to feel like that. So these are little things I started noticing as I was feeling. I was like, I want to do that. Like I want that to be felt. I want to feel like that. And then
Mhm.
I started like wanting to draw like that. And then later on, I just realized that yeah, there's like 5 people drawing this comic. I'm like
Oh,
trying to do the work of like 5 people. Like I'm doing backgrounds all super deep. So I'm taking forever to draw this
oh,
one page. And I'm noticing that like I'm drawing like this guy. I'm like, oh, this guy here. Then I'm like, assistants? I never heard of someone other than the artist is inking this, like the penciler. It can, there's like an inker or there's someone who does backgrounds. Like someone could do that. There's like a team. And then I
right.
noticed that old comic books did that too. You know what I mean? Like, but this
Oh
was
yeah.
like years ago. I figured that I was like I was already years of drawing and drawing and drawing, and then I learned more about manga and learned more about than even the history of the American comics, and they're just doing what basically we did, and I never really kind of thought of like not inking my work or not doing that or just
Mhm.
and just penciling and that kind of stuff, or I've never been in that position to just pencil, just to do one thing. I think I've always sold myself as a package. I'm like, yeah, I'll ink it, I'll pencil it, and I'll color it. I'll do all that together.
Now,
And,
do you? So you do color your own work?
mhm,
Okay.
yeah,
Do you work digitally?
I do. I was doing traditional, and then I switched over to digital. Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
like
this
that.
this was done digitally. The inking on it.
Yes, this was
Okay.
all done digitally. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, and do you use a Wacom tablet or a
Yes.
Cintiq or
Yep, I use a
yeah?
Cintiq. I have like an iPad. I do like I'll switch off here and there, go through Procreate for certain things, and then
Mhm.
I'll go into Clip Studio Paint on the Wacom,
Mhm.
and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I got to use Clip Studio. I use Procreate and do all my stuff on my iPad Pro.
Yeah.
But um, the the uh, the Clip Studio seems like it was uh, a learning curve, and I just haven't had time to dive into that. and learn it. One of
Yeah,
these days.
there's a lot of things on it. Like I have Photoshop, and I um finishing everything. I finish everything in Photoshop because there's just certain things that are better to do with lighting and all this other stuff that I can do.
Mhm.
So I keep
Right.
them both. Clip Studio doesn't do it as good. So for certain things that so yeah, but it's there's still so many things that I could be using with Clip Studio Paint that I haven't used, and I haven't used yet. But yeah, it's one of those things. Yeah.
I love your color sense too. This piece
Oh,
in
thanks.
particular really has a really great. You can feel the sunshine on her,
Hmm.
that warmth, and I love the ink line on it. There's a really nice variation of line weights.
Oh, thanks.
Um, also like just the forms. You know, they're
Hmm.
really rock solid. Your figure forms and everything. So I'm amazed. I mean, I'm just very impressed that you've taught yourself all this. You
Hmm.
know,
Well, thanks. Yeah, I did not want to like I didn't want to color. I didn't want to do this. I just I didn't want to spend time doing it. It sometimes it'll take too long, and that's just sometimes like the digital work. Like it could be so much faster. If I knew what I was doing and I could just take the time, stop being so impatient, and just watch like a little tutorial and just do that. And so I've been doing that more and more recently, and just taking notes and making sure. And so the coloring process has actually been a lot faster and a lot easier and a lot more fun. And because I was paying a flatter, and I was for a little bit of Suprema, you'll see kind of like a color shift a little bit in a couple of
okay.
episodes where I did pay somebody to color it for me. Yeah, like that one right there, that's not colored by me.
That's not by you.
That's not by me.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's yeah. So I wasn't liking this. Like I think this was the last. Wait, it was this episode. Yeah, it was this episode right here. This was the last one. So I had him do because I was trying to speed it up, and I was just trying to draw as
Hmm.
fast as I can. Sorry, try to get the episodes done as fast as I could, and so I just needed somebody to color it so I can go move on to the next episode, and it just wasn't good. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it myself. So I'm just gonna do this now.
Now this
Yeah,
this is very flat color here. Are
yeah,
these just flats or
yeah. That's just flats.
okay?
Yeah.
So this was not the finished panel.
No, I think I
Okay.
sent it to you. I think I sent that to you to the Google folder.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Actually, I pulled this one off the internet. I didn't know.
yeah. So you should have like the full, like the fully rendered, fully like the finished ones. In that I sent a Google link to a folder for whatever you wanted to pull for whatever episode or anything.
Did you send that? Oh, you sent that to me via email?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Okay, I missed that. I missed the folder.
No worries. I could
Okay.
probably quickly.
Yeah, if you want to share your screen, if you got some stuff you want to share, you can.
Sure. I'll do that. Let me put this here. Um, let's see. Where is it? Screen share.
Yeah, it's called Present now.
Oh, present.
Yes.
Oh, share screen. Oh, let me let me move this over. It's gonna do one of those like. Okay, here we go. Share there. There you go.
Yeah, this is it's a great premise, isn't it, Past Master Dan? Okay, let's do that.
So I sent you like this right here.
Oh wow, no, what's this from?
So this was a someone's short story. This was sort of like a banner on the top so that you can scroll through the novel.
Mm-hmm.
It's like so um, they commissioned me to draw that there. So it's kind of like a noir kind of detective
Mm-hmm.
thing, and it's the eyes are what's uh, supposed to be so apparent in the story. and you're like, what? Why? So then you find out. It's pretty riveting. And so like, yeah, so like this is just like lettering, and that's the name of it there. Yeah. So, but this is um, just like the black and white work, the some of the one of the latest things I've done. And then I don't know if I could let me let me I mean I'm gonna stop the screen share real quick because I think in the folder, if I open it, oh wait, no, maybe
I think I just pinned the wrong address. Hold on a second here. You keep doing what you're doing. I'm gonna unpin this. That was your YouTube. Of the links that you sent me, you said How to Succeed Like a Dark Lord. Is that like your, what is
yeah.
that? That's
So,
your art.
so that's a 4-panel like kind of cartoony series I'm working with Vox Day at Archaven.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I'll put this one up at the top, and you guys can
Yeah, so that
check out
one,
My Sister Suprema. The link is going to be pinned at the top of the chat.
yeah. So how to succeed is kind of like it's a parody on the, so it's a Dark Lord making fun of other Dark Lords in fantasy novels. So all the great fantasy novels and everything. So he's just sort of going through them and making fun of them or something like that in some way. But it's if you like fantasy, it's a 4-panel thing, and so it's really funny. I enjoy it, and it lets me kind of hone in my cartooning skills. So I'm like trying to get better at my cartooning, try to work that out. It doesn't really work because I start getting more into getting more and more into the realistic thing, and so I kind of go back and forth sometimes. So I do a lot of art shifts in there, and I try to make it as funny as I can. So it lets me.
Dr. Mask was asking what the name of that one was.
What was the name? It was How to Succeed Like a Dark Lord.
Okay, there you go. I'll just put it in there. How to Succeed Like a Dark Lord. There you go. You guys can actually got the link for that, don't I? In the private.
And then if you want to share my screen again, I have like the stuff up here. I thought it was going to be.
There it is. I just put it in the chat, guys. Okay, let's put this one up. Okay.
And so this lead up to where Randy is after the lightning bolt came down and destroyed the bathroom. I added like 2 panels in here that Chuck didn't write. Like he's walking into the bath, but I wanted it to be like a very subtle, very like he's like coming in there and it's just shocking.
Right.
And then he just falls on his knees. I wish I put the little kind of dust, the effect of his knees hitting the ground.
Right.
I wish I did that, but it does kind of have this quiet moment.
Yeah. Or even had like part of his legs, veering inward so that you could see that his leg is bent. Like right there, from the image that I can see, it doesn't look like his leg is bent behind him. It looks like his legs are cut off.
Yeah. And that's just, yeah. And then she comes out of the bathtub. This is one of my favorite. I didn't color this one. And she's just coming out of the.
Look at the face on the kid back there with the eyes.
Yeah.
So that's obviously an anime influence.
Yeah. So at this point, I'm more like kind of looking through. I'm very heavily like I had been watching a lot of anime. I had been going through that because there's a lot of stuff to kind of go through. If you're looking through anime, you can find a lot of stuff to just kind of browse through and I get a lot of ideas. And so she's right there in the bath, like he's hugging her in the bathtub, and she's like, it's just the remark. She's like, "What happened?"
She's just waking up still.
Yeah, and then I
Yeah.
just thought, I come up with these ideas. I'm like, I do panels like this. This is very anime, very manga.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do this, but like just to kind of see. And then as I took too long, if I take too long with the chapter, I'm like, okay, I got to move on. I can't keep changing this, and you know. And then like here, This is when I started coloring it again. So this was the first chapter after coming back, and this is the where she's um, putting on her new costumes, like
Okay.
doing that.
Yeah,
And so
I
he's
love
just
the color here.
basically telling her why it's wrong, and yeah,
Great angle right there.
yeah, and then yeah, there you go.
Look at that mouth.
Yeah. I just tried to show as much as I can, like just the grief and the anger and the frustration and yeah, and just all that there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's an anime face right there.
Let's see. And then yeah, then finally this is the presenting the correct um, look here.
Mm-hmm.
And I like this. I was like, I got to set this up, and you know, and I really enjoyed this panel here. This I
Mm-hmm.
think this episode took me 2 weeks because I was like coming up with new. I had to come up with all the costumes, and I was like, this still took me a little bit, and I was like, I just didn't want to put anything. And he had the descriptions, but I wanted to have fun with it, and
Yeah, that's
yeah.
great. So great foreshortening there on the legs, her legs
Mm.
coming forward and the other leg going back.
Yeah.
That's a very Kirby-esque foreshortening there.
Ah, so there you go. And then I just because I was taking too long, I just had to draw him more. I had to art shift it again and change him to more cartoony. And I just like I can't draw the background. I was like, and then that's it. And then yeah, she just turns around and just more. So this was I made this so when you go on ArcTunes and you're scrolling, you can take each one of these panels and then just kind of be it by itself and then scroll to the next. And then when I handed it off to the guy to upload it to the website, he put this all down like as one. It was supposed
Oh,
to be
he
like
he just like formatted that into a single page?
yeah, it was like as if it was this was all just one panel basically. Like he just put the
Oh,
page down and it went down like this. And I was trying to say like I wanted him to put the phone on a separate, make it go down in a straight line so you're scrolling through every panel.
right.
And this was how I would set it up on the page. But yeah, but it didn't come like that on the website.
Huh.
Yeah.
But it looks like a great comic page though.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. I was see, I'm conflicted. I'm like, should I? Because like when this comes, when it goes to print, I'm like, I should be making. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this when it goes to print, because every panel is like a widescreen panel.
Right.
So I'm like, I got to set it up like a page, and so I've been doing that here and there with some of the stuff. So yeah.
So these individual panels that are on ArcTunes right now will be collected into pages and into a hard copy version.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to figure that out. What I'm gonna do.
Well, you
I
have
want to
a
go about
fan
that.
here on Joanna Kettle. Hi, glad I got to catch this episode of one of my favorite artists.
Oh, hey, Joanna. Thank you. You're very sweet. Yeah, and then it's just what's fun too about the digital art stuff. I get to mess with like just blurring effects and all these other
Mm-hmm.
stuff, which is a lot of fun. And then
Mm-hmm.
layers, and then so yeah.
That's great. Look at that. This is what I was talking about. We're pushing the drawings, you
Mm.
know.
Yeah, I kind of just like because I'll do reference and I'll do like act it out, and I'll try to see how everything looks. It's kind of like after reading about Charlie Chaplin and how he made his films and how he kept like kind of doing a take after take after take after take to get it just right. It was kind of like that with me. I take different pictures, I take a lot of different reference, and I do a lot of animated things. So I act out all these scenes, and I try to find what's the best way to express it. And I know that I could. And then what I'm learning from you and learning from Chuck about the comics, about what is pure comics, like what can I do? Because like again, like him, the way he's being thrown into the chair, I can't do that. I would die. I would. I just so I can bend. I can bend him. I can do whatever. I can do stuff like that. It's comics, and so I'm trying to like really exaggerate it and really show the impact and like really like yeah. So anyway, so show the movement, show the everything. So I'm like trying to do whatever I can to kind of like get that look that I need, that cartoony look, that animated, that dynamic look that I need.
Well, that's the key to comics
Yeah.
is clarity, dynamics, and immersion, and you've got all of those things going for you. It's a rarity to see anymore, and you have a style which is interesting and not derivative, which is what I like to look at. Your camera angles are great, but they're not superfluous. You don't choose them to dazzle your audience with ooh, look at this cool angle. No, your angles have reasons. Your camera is positioned in a certain way for a specific reason. And when you do that right, that's what helps immerse you into the story. It doesn't, you don't turn the page for a second and say, oh, wow, look at this picture. Look at all these details and everything. It's like, no, I'm there. I'm in this sequence. And that's key.
Oh, and here's the fully colored one here. So if
Right.
you wanted to see that panel with the flats.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and thanks a lot for saying that. It's like, because these moments where they're just talking, and it's just something that like, it's the writer artist dynamic that I have. Like, I just, when Chuck presented this story, I don't know how he knew that I would love to do this. I don't know, because we just like, I showed him my stuff and he said, hey, I think this story would be perfect for you. How did he know that? It's like, I enjoy drawing this because it's like there's the subtle moments. I enjoy drawing these like moments like this.
Yeah.
Just sitting down, because I get to come up with all these little things. Like these two panels here, this was just one panel. Like the two, like there was a lot going on. And then she's putting stuff in a gigantic bowl so she can eat because her metabolism is, speeding up.
Right.
Eat a lot. And so I thought it'd be really funny to just kind of show her, like, what is she grabbing off screen? And it's the big, the 1 gallon, the gallon of milk, and splooshing it down. And she continues talking. And it's just, I enjoy this so much. And, the way Chuck is writing this, it's such a joy.
Chuck can write anything. And I mean that because he's so good at, you give him, you say to him, I need a story about NASCAR, and he's never been to a NASCAR race. And in a day, he'll come to you with a really cool NASCAR story. He'll do his reference, but he knows how to construct a story and the dynamics and drama, regardless of what the superficial things are around it. And that's what I've always loved working with him.
Yeah, it's the humor. It's like it's so much the what do you call it? Oh wait, this is the one I wanted to show you. Because I had been reading before I had read anything from Chuck. I mean, I was looking for specific writers that would kind of bring the funny along with the touching, and where the moments of drama and like the heart. There was like a lot of heart, and there was a lot of action. So I was always trying to find that. There was like a lot of that. I found some authors, and I would read from them, and then I started reading Chuck after that, and like it was the same thing. It was like there was a lot of heart. There was touching moments. There was a lot of action, and there was always humor to like kind of light to kind of have these little light touches. And I was enjoying that a lot. There's like touches of humor, and it was great.
Mm-hmm. I bought that Fantastic Four issue.
Oh, you did?
The one on the first panel. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I bought it when it came out. That's a Jack Kirby cover.
Yeah, those are all my comics right there.
I think it's Rich Buckler on the inside.
Oh, yeah. That's cool.
That's
yeah.
funny.
Those are my
So,
dad's.
Dr. Mask is saying Anthony needs to learn the throw your effing eraser away.
What's that?
Did you hear that?
What's the throw your effing eraser away lesson?
Still, Anthony needs to learn the throw your effing away. That's Jack Kirby told John Buscema this, and John Buscema told John Romita Jr. this when he said to Romita Jr., "How many pages a day do you draw?" And he said like 2. And Buscema said, "Throw your fucking eraser away."
Yeah, because what was he doing?
I mean,
5?
stop redrawing.
Yeah.
Buscema, he could do like 12. You know. I mean,
Oh my!
The guy was a machine.
That's right. Yeah, like the way he was drawing. Yeah, the way he drew a picture or whatever. But right, it was.
Yeah, he wasn't doing full pencils. I mean, he was doing breakdowns and layouts and stuff like that. But so much of the stuff was there. The construction was there.
Wow. Yeah. See, that's what this whole thing is. It's like I'm getting. I'm like just painstakingly. I want this pen. I'm like, I go over and I'm like, I just think about it and I'm just like going over it in my head. But see, this is like, I'm only now learning just like this whole different kind of work ethic that I'm just like, after, 8 years of doing comics and, I'm just like, I'm now learning something brand new. I'm like listening to, Joe Kubert. I'm listening to Romita Sr. and, what he was talking about. And then Buscema and then the stuff that he talked about and Kirby and just, wow. I'm like, there's just a whole other way of doing this. I think that's been the most difficult thing ever has been the scheduling and just sticking to a schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's been the most difficult thing for me. And so I like this. See, I enjoy like the horror elements. The horror and comedy are kind of like my 2 favorite. And I like to like mess with the light and the dark like a lot. And so whenever I get the chance, I try to really play it up here, whatever I can do. And so,
yeah, this is nice. Is this this isn't My Sister Suprema, is it?
No, this is.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah.
The style looks different. Looked a little different to me.
Yeah, yeah, and that one it did a little bit. It's because I just kind of mix up this realistic sometimes with the cartoony.
Mm-hmm.
And so the robot instance, like that whole thing was like, yeah,
Hey, when you do realistic tech and cartoony characters, you're following in the footsteps of Roy Crane. So I'm all for that.
Right. Roy Crane. That's another episode that really that just changed. It changed. I was like, I'm trying not to like, make it like, but it changed my life. I was like, I've listened to it, re-listened to it a few times, just like trying to like, and I was like trying to find his books about these kind of really look at it.
Yeah.
And that changed another thing. That changed everything else. Bob Oxner, Oxner.
Oh, Bob Oxner. Yeah.
Yeah, Oxner. And then him, and then there was another guy that Chuck mentioned, and they almost did similar styles, and they worked on the same book, the Bob Hope stuff. I forgot who it was, but yeah, like that whole thing about his whole episode about drawing women, and it was like, yeah, the difference between the sexy and the sexual and all that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to go towards the sexy, the cute, the feminine, and pretty. It's like I'm trying to always go towards that. Yeah. Yeah, I thought you had looked through it or anything, but oh well, I can't. It's yeah, this thing is like these are like huge. So here's how to succeed.
Okay, so this is the one that is pinned at the top of the chat, guys.
Yeah. So yeah, just panels like this, and
Is this on ArcTunes also?
this is on ArcTunes. Yep.
Okay. So go to ArcTunes, guys, and you can check out all of Anthony's stuff.
Yeah, these are just different panels I pulled up,
Mm-hmm.
and just to mess around with, like, it's all facial expressions. It's all just cartoony stuff and
Yeah.
lettering. I do all the lettering, do all the sound effects and everything, and color it. This was a lot of fun to do as well. Yeah.
Careful on your spacing on your word balloon. See how your letters are jammed up against the box?
Mm.
You got to give the letters and the words room to breathe.
Yeah, that's another thing I'm learning too about lettering.
Yeah.
I'm noticing, like, not a lot of people know how to do it right, and I'm not saying I do. You know, like as you said, like, yeah, I'm trying to, like, I really want to get better with that, with my
Mm-hmm.
sound effects, and like hand drawing it. Like after, again, like hearing from you and Chuck talking about lettering, and I'm like, yeah, like I gotta focus.
Yeah. Go look through some of those great Artie Simek sound effects in those early Marvel books. You know, he did some really great stuff.
Mm.
Okay. Well, we've hit about our time here. I got another show in a few minutes, guys. Anthony, I want to thank you for coming on and sharing this great art with us. Is there anything else you want to tell everybody, or where can they find you on social media?
On social media, if you just look up Anthony DG Clark, I mean Instagram, Twitter, Anthony DG Clark, on YouTube. That's my handle, and you can find me on there. Pretty much, I do every single day, Monday through Friday. I do a live stream, just for about an hour or two, just talking about whatever art, comics. I'll be drawing, and yeah, so that's pretty much it. And
Okay.
just go to ArcTunes, look up My Sister Suprema, look up How to Succeed Like a Dark Lord, just give it some views, give it some likes, and then just
Yeah,
subscribe
please.
to the YouTube channel. Come by, say hi, come hang out, and I'll be there Monday through Friday around, it's 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. You know.
Okay. 11.
There you
That's
go.
perfect time. So,
Is that-
guys, let's all meet back here in about 10 minutes, something like that. Because I'm going to have the Spin Rack crew on. It's going to be question and answers. Anything you got, we can answer it. So tune in for that in about 10 more minutes right here on this channel. Anthony, I want to thank you once again, and chat. Thank you guys for
Thank you.
popping in here, and we'll see you guys in about 10. Have a good one. Bye-bye.